Hello, Namaskar and Adab to all my friends from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan, once more with you from your very own channel Astro Assurance. Today I am going to talk about something which is we hold close to our heart, we hold dear to our heart. Sometimes we invest our entire lives in acquiring that, and sometimes we make it a matter of a reputation. Sometimes we make it a matter of even life and death if it becomes something which is attached to our ancestors. I am talking about property. I am talking about owning a house. Now, I have been brought up in a city which is Mumbai or erstwhile Bombay, and I know a number of families who have spent their entire lives taking loans, borrowing money from friends, on known people, and then repaid that amount in entire lives just to have one house in Bombay or Mumbai. And so the value of a home or house, if you want to know, ask somebody from the city of Mumbai and they'll tell you what a home means to them. That too, their own home means to them, a home which they have bought of their own money, and rather than a rented properties, it becomes very, very dear to Mumbaiker, if I can use the term. But I am sure that it is also true for a number of other people, whatever city or town you may hail from, or whatever part of the world you may be from. There is always an aspiration to own your own home, to have your own nest, to have your own den, and to have the freedom to do whatever you want in the house without seeking permission from somebody, and to be proud of your own dwelling place, and to make it up or do things in the house that you want to do, rather than depend on somebody else's taste. So the house is one of the most important acquiring investments for us, or acquiring items for us, and so being the most expensive one at that, it becomes something which we hold dear. We want to hold on to it for a long time, and something which is aspirational also. So let's see today what are the planetary placements in a horoscope which make such a possibility very high in nature, or what gives us the high possibility of owning a property. So the probability of high probability of owning a property can come by a few placements which are very, very related to the home, the house, and that too the physical home. Now let's look at few things one by one. First and foremost, the lagna is very important, because the lagna refers to our reputation, our standing, how people see us, and property is seen something which also becomes something that we pride on. It becomes a pride, and so the lagna is directly related to acquiring a property. The stronger the lagna is, the chances that somebody may have a good home, or number of homes, and or even land tracts, then there is a higher possibility. So that's one thing that gives a higher possibility of acquiring a property if the lagna is very, very strong itself. The second thing is the second house, which is not only the home of our childhood, where the house which we are born in, but also our income and savings. So unless your income and your savings are strong, only the savings that you put into acquire a property or to buy a property. So the second house of income and savings should be very, very strong, which helps us to acquire a property. Third thing is the physical house that we make, or we create a house when we turn adults, or when we marry. We create a different home from the home that we were born in, or different from the parents' home. So that is represented by the fourth house. So we need to have a very strong fourth house to be able to create our own home, our own dwelling, and a happy dwelling and a good dwelling at that. So the stronger the fourth house, the larger the house, the more luxurious the house, the more stability in the house, the more happiness, the more mental peace in the house, and also the house may remain with you for a long time. And then is the 11th house. 11th house is the house of aspirations. House is one of the biggest aspirations that one has, and a good home, a beautiful home, the home of our taste is something we really, really aspire for, and that's why the 11th house and the strength of the 11th house becomes critical. However, now what we see is that nature or Srishti or creation or the planets don't give us one weight where all 4 houses are very, very strong and we have many properties. There is always a balancing factor. I'll give you an example. Now, when we look at the 4 types of signs, we have the fire signs, we have the earth signs, we have the air signs, and we have the water signs. Of these, the earth signs are the ones which are considered to be the most solid signs for manifesting any result, whereas the air or water signs are the ones which can move, or moving signs also, if I can call it, of which air is the strongest moving sign or movable sign. So what happens is that if the lagna is that of any of the air signs, for example, if the lagna is that of, say for example, Gemini, then it is an air sign. Then what could happen in such a person's native's life is that one, he is a dual mind. He may or may think, should I acquire a property, should I go for investment? So he is in a dual mind whether to go for investments or should he buy a property, or should I invest it in business or should I buy a property, or should I buy A property or should I buy B property. So the being in dual mind, sometimes Gemini natives take a long time in acquiring a property, or if they acquire a property, it is easiest for them to let go also, unless there is very emotional factor attached to that home, or their spouse is a very strong earth sign and the spouse does not allow the Gemini native to let go of the property. So that is very, very important. Now, because we have said that earth signs are the ones which hold on to the property in the most solid manner, that's why we will see that Taurus ascendant natives seem to be very lucky when it comes to acquiring a property, because one, it's easier for them to acquire a property, and sometimes because they are also materialistic in approach, so having a house, car and other things are foremost of their goals, so they invest time, money, energy and effort there, and because of also being a strong earth sign, they seem to be lucky in holding on to the property for long. And mostly you will see that Taurus people or even Virgo people live in their own houses, the houses that they own for a longer period of time compared to an air sign people. However, one will see that if the lagna is of Taurus, then the 4th house, which is the house of your house created, then becomes Leo, which is a fire sign. And so fire sign people also hold on to a property for long. However, then what happens is they are not as strong as manifested for the earth signs. And if the lagna is Taurus, then the 4th house is the house of Leo, or the sign is Leo, and then the 11th house is the sign of Pisces. So for Taurus natives, the 4th house becomes the house of Leo, fire sign, and the 10th house become the 11th house of aspirations is represented by the Pisces sign, a water sign. So you will see, if the lagna is strong, then the 4th and the 2nd or the 11th house will not be strong. If the 4th house is strong, say for example, if the 4th house is the house of Virgo, which is a strong earth sign, then you will find that the 11th house then becomes Aries. So when one becomes a very strong sign to acquire property, the other does not lend so much support. So one should see the energies of all the signs together and which is the strongest house. So between the 1st house, 2nd house, 4th house and the 11th house, whichever is the strongest, if that is also an earth sign, then very strongly the chances of property coming through are seen. However, 11th house being the house of aspirations, and one of those aspirations is house, other could be getting married, going to foreign lands, business and so forth. So only the 11th house being strong is not enough to acquire property. 2 houses have to be absolutely in tandem to acquire property. 4th and 11th, if any one of them is very weak, then the chances of acquiring a property reduce further. With some signs, some odd relations with respect to property also are seen. Just like I talked about Gemini, what is seen with Cancer ascendant natives is, with Cancer natives you will find that the lagna itself is a water sign, whereas the 4th house is a air sign. So you will find that while the Lagna is a water sign and the fourth house is an air sign, but the 11th house is of Taurus, which is a earth sign. So Cancer people have very strong emotional connect with the house, to the home, and normally when they make their own home, they try and retain it for long periods of time as well. In converse, Sagittarius natives, because they have the wanderlust, and Sagittarius is also represented by the 9th house, and the 9th house, as we know, is Sagittarius is also a fire sign. So many times Sagittarius natives may acquire property, but they may not live in the property for long. Though they may hold on to the property, they may not dispose it off or sell it off. Sometimes not even rent it out, because they will keep the house locked and they may come back to the same house, or they may have their family living there, while Sagittarius is on the wanderlust and roaming around, because they have a sense of adventure and freedom as well. But they may not live in the physical property that they have acquired, while though holding on to the property for a long period of time. With water signs, especially when you look at say for example Scorpio or even Pisces, we will see that you will find that if the fourth house is not very strong, its lord is not very strong, and if the fourth house lord becomes either weak or gets into combustion or even debilitated, then while property may be acquired, but the person may dispose of the property and then acquire another one, and then keep their property for some time, then acquire another one. So holding on to property and benefiting and profiting from it over a long period of time is not seen if the fourth house gets into combustion, or say for example debilitation. However, if malefics get involved with a weak fourth house lord, or 2 or 3 malefics getting into the fourth house, then troubles from by virtue of land or property are also seen for the native. Such a native is advised not to buy the property in their own name, but to either hold the property in a shared holding, or have the property in either their in the name of somebody they trust, maybe that of spouse, or even that of children, or even that of parents. So that may reduce the chance of them losing a property. So this is one of the good remedies, that if you don't find a very strong Lagna, if you don't find a very strong second or fourth house, then try in acquiring a property or buying a property in the name of a spouse who has a strong fourth house, or a child who has a strong fourth house, while also having a share in the property may help person acquire a property, rather than increase chances of misfortune or situations by virtue of which you have to forced to sell the property. If you have Jupiter involved in the fourth house of the Lagna, then you may buy large house, large tracts of land. If Venus gets into the fourth house, then the person may do up the house well. You may buy a big house, luxurious house. If Mars and Venus and Saturn, 2-3 energies come together, the person may acquire a large house, luxurious house, and may also add some gizmos to it, like the security alarm system and automated doors, automated windows, and all sorts of things that the person may try to do with his house. If sun gets involved, then the person may pride about his house, and there will be something which is more spiritual also about the house. If moon or if Ketu also gets involved, the person may may create a house which has a temple if they have strong sun, moon and Jupiter involved in their horoscope. So all these things come together and may add to chances of acquiring a property, keeping the property for long, living in the property, profiting from the property, and also certain situations by virtue of which you either make it luxurious or spiritual, or something which is beautiful to look at, and use various colors if you have 2 or 3 planetary energies involved in the fourth house. So friend, this is my analysis of how you can acquire a flat or a property or a house or even land or tract of land by virtue of what the planetary placements give you in terms of its strength, their placements, their aspects, their manifestation, and the dasha period. For example, the dasha period of the Lagna lord, the second lord, fourth lord and the 11th house lord and or the antardashas will very strongly create chances of acquiring a property. Of these, the dasha and antardasha of combination of lagna and 4th house, lagna and 11th house, 4th house and 11th house, or 2nd and 11th house, all these combinations give a very strong sign of acquiring a property, especially if there is a transit of either Jupiter or Venus or Moon going over the 4th house or the lagna, then the chances of acquiring a property are the highest. So friends, please like my video, please share my video, and please subscribe to my channel, and please reach out to me if you're looking for a personal consultation from me. And till we meet some other time, this is your friend, astrologer and guide Irfan signing off. Ciao.